good pass to watch.
I think throw with the option to run.
Run.
Oh! Wow. Man, I thought he would have that.
Oh man, that's tough.
Good pass.
That is tough. Wow.
Aaron Donaldson's going to retire after this. He's going to go in.
Pointing to the ring finger.
When everything was on the line for the Rams.
Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. I just want to recap my weekend. So as you saw, I'm continuing to keep up with the running. Got to 1.5 miles so far. So it's been going well. It was interesting. One of those days, and I think I show it, I did like 1.55 miles. The day before, I actually did a spin class. I would highly recommend that. The spin class helped me a lot because it's a 50-minute spin class. And so, like, I think getting my body used to working out for that long, the next day when I ran 1.55 miles, like, it didn't even feel like that much. Like, I probably could have ran another, 15 minutes. So, I'm not any expert in running or anything like that, but just something I noticed for myself. Showed celebrating Rohit's birthday. That was a fun night. Being able to celebrate his birthday, playing Truth or Dare, and just having fun with friends. Went to dinner at Nirvana in Cambridge with Aaron. That was a great time. It's Aaron's someone I've known since college, so it's just funny to kind of see the conversations, and the maturity that we've made, over the years from our 18-year-old conversations to where we are now at like 26, 27 year old conversations, and what we're focused on and what we're thinking about and things like that. And you just learn things about each other and stuff like that, and it's cool to just have great conversation. Continued running. Met up with Josh and John for dinner. Saturday I forgot to vlog it, but I think that's a good thing because I was living in the moment. But hung out at one of my friends' place. We watched the LA Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Just hung out, and then we went. I did vlog we went to the Burren afterwards. And then the SuperBowl happened. It was a really good game. This whole playoffs has been really good for the NFL. I might be wrong, but I think all of the games were won within 3 points, maybe. That might be totally wrong, but there were a lot of really good games, nevertheless. But yeah, in terms of what I was consuming this week, I watched Netflix's Indian Matchmaking for the first time. This came out in 2020. I had never seen it. So I want to give my thoughts on it. For me, I think it's a fascinating look at the view of marriage, and specifically arranged marriages in India. I think for someone trying to understand Indian culture historically, whether you have a friend that's Indian, you're dating someone that's Indian, you're marrying someone that's Indian, I think this is actually a really good. Obviously, it's not a historical, documentary or anything, but it's just kind of a good look and insight into, arranged marriage. How our parents look at it, how our grandparents looked at it, how we look at it. Historically, for my grandparents' generation, I mean, you could theoretically, two families could get together and decide that their children should get married. You meet for one day and then the next day you're married. There wasn't a lot of control. And obviously this is for some portion. I'm not going to summarize for all of India. And then I think as time went on, maybe for my parents, our parents' generation, they were given, if they were giving their daughter to marriage, maybe their daughter was able to see, 5 or 6 people. And maybe even in my grandparents' generation, there was a good amount of that, of being able to see, 3, 4, 5 people. But it's not a lot of interaction, I'll say that. And then it's interesting today to look at the present India. I think a lot of the parents still want to keep it, but there are a lot of love marriages happening and things like that. So I think it's going to continue to be a good mix as time goes on. I would say, so in terms of the cool parts, right, it was really interesting, to see people in their 30s and 40s. I guess not cool to see, but it was nice to see in the sense of that they were struggling, in the sense of, I think a lot of people, 27 to 40 do struggle, and that's not something that's often talked about. I feel like there's always this pressure of trying to get married before 30, right? And if you don't do that, a lot of people feel self-conscious. So I think it was just kind of interesting to see that acknowledgement. I think it was interesting to see what a big business marriage is in India. These are spectacular weddings, and people spend a lot of money on them. I think it's also cool to see, you learn random facts like, Nadia was, her family's from Guyana, which was, a British colony, and there was a lot of Indian migration over there, like things like that, just random stuff. Sometimes it's cool to learn that. I think, it's an interesting look, at, if I look at maybe some of the negatives, quote unquote, it's an interesting look at India in the sense of, I would say these are all mostly middle to upper middle class or upper class people that were showed. So I would not view this as the summation of India. I don't know the numbers, but there's a lot of people that probably can't afford a matchmaker, and things like that, and just in general, they didn't show a lot of people from lower level socioeconomic backgrounds. I think, you see some of the realness, though, when you look at, Akshay's case, I think he's like a 23-year-old or maybe 25, something like that, mid-20s, and you see the pressure of his parents on him, and it's, in my opinion, at an unhealthy level, where, I think his mom was saying, his brother, was delaying having a baby because they wanted to figure out when his marriage date was, and it was very much a let's try to get you married, within 3 months kind of thing, so we can plan it for next year. And it just felt unhealthy the entire time. You could tell he was under a lot of pressure. And I just think it's never a good idea to be under that much stress or pressure going into a decision. That's a very unhealthy state of mind to go into something is like full-on desperation. And it's interesting, so I researched in the show, they show, Radhika and Akshay, deciding to go forward together, but actually, a day after the Roka ceremony, which is kind of like the first ceremony to say that both families will not look at any other families. The day after, Akshay actually broke it off. So, that's something in life. You just never want to be in a desperation mindset. I think in that sense, you saw the overprotection of parents sometimes, and you saw the, keeping up with the Joneses attitude, of when you meet up with your other fellow friends, updating them on your kids. And I don't know, I think, it's funny that even at that age, people are so worried about judgment from their friends. And I think it's just so stupid, to compare, or gossip about certain things. I just, everybody's journey is everybody's journey. We don't need to make a big deal out of it. It was a good reflection on marriage, and there was a point where one of the life coaches said, there's a lot of support that you need from this person, from a, physical, mental, and emotional side, and kind of think about that, as someone who's not married, it's a lot to ask from one person, and I wonder if that's healthy to, ask all that. Obviously you need a balance, of, say the emotional support from other people, friends, and stuff like that. Seema Auntie said some interesting things, in terms of, being willing to compromise, which were, made me reflect. I think, off of that, what the life coach was saying, it's interesting because the person you'll get as a partner most likely, actually is not going to be perfect. And so just being able to, and I think compromise not on the big issues, but on maybe this, just the smaller things, is a valid point. I think in terms of the show, I think they did a great job in terms of, anytime you do a show like this, the viewer is very invested because it's outcome based, will they find love? And it's funny, actually none of them do through the matchmaking process. Rupam ended up marrying someone that she found through Bumble, a dating app, but that wasn't through the matchmaking process. So that was kind of funny. Obviously they combined the Indian US audience, which is obviously a great thing to do. You immediately have two big audiences. I think one thing I have to always remind myself with reality TV is they're trying to get a reaction out of you, and obviously there's a lot of hours of footage that they have condensed into this small time period. I think they followed the people from April 2019 to December 2019, and I think we got 8 episodes out of that, with 7 different characters. So I think just kind of taking everything that we see with a grain of salt. Obviously, person like Aparna, was characterized somewhat negatively. But if you then reflect on her interactions with Seema, you can see that Seema's not really listening to what she's saying, in terms of, she's saying she doesn't want the funniest guy in the room or whatever. Seema just kind of doesn't believe her, and says, you need someone jolly. And so I just think, obviously they characterized different people as different things, like, Nadia as the smiling extrovert, Vyasa as the nice guy, Ankita as the business-driven female, things like that. And I think it's just important, to take the representation with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, I overall, I really enjoyed it, and would definitely recommend it to people. And I think it's a good reflection on relationships, marriage, and learning about the history of India's relationship with arranged marriages. Thanks, guys. Hope you're doing well.